Hello everyone, this is Normal Human Dave and welcome to Seeking Center. Today we're going to be starting a new bonsai. This is a blue rug juniper. This little guy is from a big box store, home improvement type store. He was on discount with a couple of the other scraggly looking guys. Not a whole lot to look at. Just it's got some little brown spots here and there. But the junipers, especially the blue rug junipers, make really good starter bonsais. The reason is that they tend to grow in interesting shapes and patterns on their own. And as of right now, it doesn't really look like a lot because it is just little sprigs coming off here and there and growing in every direction like a plant would normally. They'll kind of just grow over time and pick different directions. They're in, this guy's in a pot here, so that's going to limit the direction he can grow. Little bits will get over the edge here, so we have some interesting parts to work with. And once we start to kind of clean them up a little bit, we'll get an idea of what we really have here. So we're going to start by trying to see if we can peek in here, get an idea of what his overall trunk looks like. And if I get a little light on there, you can see a base right here, and then if we move that, there we go. So there's a good piece coming off here, and if we look down from above, we got another one right there. So there's no wrong way to get started on this. There's no end goal. It's really about kind of discovering what's already there. You typically just, you might want to start with getting rid of some of the parts that look like they're not doing so well, maybe not getting enough sunlight anyways, and then you just kind of go. So the tools I use, I really like to use a pair of wire snips. It offers a lot of strength and good leverage. They make bonsai scissors and shears that are similar in concept. And they work great as well, but these are just, you can find them everywhere, any kind of hardware store, typically anywhere you can get a little juniper like this, you can get something like this. You can use scissors as well. So the challenge with scissors is, of course, they have a longer blade, so the strength you get is reduced over the length of that blade, whereas this is going to give you a nice, good little powerful snip. Keeps a good sharp edge as well because it's a tool made for heavy work. So it's really going to do the job for us. Also have a little bonsai pot here. Just a little resin guy, nothing fancy. It's got a little built-in grate on the bottom here for some good drainage. A little humidity tray. You can get these pretty cheap online and in packs. They're really good for when you're getting guys started. And then if you want, you can go with something fancier or a really nice, artisan-made piece. But I like these guys, again, because I can just get a stack of them and they're there when I need them. So let's go ahead and take a look and really dig into this guy. So the first thing you'll notice, he's in a pretty standard pot that you would get at a home improvement store when you go into the nursery. And you can see how shallow our bonsai tray is. And they're typically pretty shallow because you want to keep the roots from going crazy. The more roots you have, the more the plant can grow. And in a lot of cases, the idea is to keep your size down in addition to controlling the look. So we're going to clean up the roots a lot. We're going to remove a lot of this soil and probably get rid of a lot of the roots. He'll be perfectly fine. Matter of fact, a lot of times removing the roots and taking off some of this dead foliage and even some of the more healthy stuff, it all balances out in the end, and he'll have plenty of uptake of nutrients and fluids. You can see there's roots coming out of the bottom already. Again, he was already discounted, kind of neglected, kind of just left there. So we're going to start by just going through and snipping off some of the big ones here so that when we go to get him out of his pot, he'll slide right out. Set those to the side. And despite being a little neglected, the roots are still moist, so he's been watered regularly. He's getting what he needs to stay where he is. It's probably why he's relatively green. He's not, I mean, again, he's browned up in a couple spots here, but I think that's more just from where he wasn't getting enough sun. So let's go ahead and clean him up, and we'll see what he looks like under all this. We'll try to get a little shape going, and once we have that shape, we can get an idea of what we want him to look like when he's in his new home. These are typically grown from cuttings from a larger tree. So they'll nip off a branch, stick the branch in some soil, and water it, and nature kind of just does its thing. Roots will start growing, and the top starts growing as well. All right, let's go ahead and dig in. So let's go back to that first big trunk here and see what he looks like. He looks pretty healthy. Don't see a whole lot coming off him. So we're going to go to that big branch we saw over here. So this big branch right here. We're just going to start to clean him up a little, see if we got a little one-offs. And it looks like this guy right here, where's he coming from? You know what? I can't really see where he's coming from. Maybe we'll start on the outside and work our way in. There's no right way and a wrong way to do it. You just kind of dig in and see what you get at the end. So here's a nice long one here. He's reaching way down. I'm going to just take him off and clean this side up a little bit. It looks like he was pruned here before. He's got some new growth. I'm just going to leave that there for now. A lot of these little brown guys here, they'll come right off on their own. Just set them aside. Let's do a little more digging around in here up top. So here you can see an old branch. There's nothing growing on it anymore. Just take that off for him. Just take them off entirely, and you can hear those wire snips doing their job. They really go in there and just pop them right off. Nice clean cut. And see, we're already starting to take some big pieces away. Now here's a big branch. It kind of swoops down here. You see all this little growth in here. I'm gonna take that off. We don't need any more branches coming off here. He's got a lot to work with. He's got some good ends on the outside. This is all healthy stuff, but again, he'll do just fine. The trimming actually helps promote new growth, because instead of spending resources on these little branches, he'll push them out to the end there. So sometimes you just gotta trim up the old stuff or pick a new direction, and he'll just go that way for you. Okay. Still pretty messy up here, so let's go dig in a little more. So here, you can see this branch right here has got some healthy parts on it. It's got some parts that are all browned up again. I'm just gonna take that whole bit off. It's already browned up a little bit, so for one reason or another it's not working out. Let's just trim him out of the way, and we're gonna get down to the healthy stuff. Some more small little brown bits here and there. And you can go back to any area and clean it up more. So sometimes I like to just trim a little and see what it looks like, and then keep going from there. And that's all perfectly good. I'm going to keep cleaning up in the middle here, some small ones. So it looks like there's a branch right down here on the soil line, and that's coming out to this big piece right here. So I'm going to keep cleaning that up. So for me, one of the things I really like to do is I like to make nice clean lines from the trunk out to some limbs. Put all that greenery out on the end of a limb. Let it keep reaching out from there, but have a nice, good, clear base. So I'm going to flip this guy around again here. So it's getting pretty interesting when I dig through here. Got a little pellet here, and just take that out of there. Little moisture pellets that they put in here to keep them hydrated. So it looks like we've got a branch. I'll get some good light on it for you. So a branch right here splits out into a Y, and then this one on the right hand side just keeps splitting and splitting and splitting. And that kind of jumps down there. It's pretty low to the soil line, but I think it's our big main branch here. So we're probably going to keep him. We'll use that. So right now it's down on the soil line, but again, when we repot him, it's going to be a nice shallow pot with lots of options. So we'll just kind of leave him there for now, maybe clean it up a little bit. So this guy here up top, look at all these guys coming off. So this guy's been sitting in the soil, you see. And I'm not sure, maybe I want to remove the whole thing here. But again, for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean up a little bit on the edge. We don't have to commit to the whole thing right now. And take this guy here. He's got a little tiny guy. A little bit of brown in him. Let's go ahead and take him out of there. And just, you can see it's starting to cut away, give us a little idea what it looks like. So this guy down on the ground, again, I'm going to just, from the base, work my way out. Just trim off some of these bigger ones. And just keep looking at them, you know, just keep exploring as you go. See where you want to be. So this guy's growing back in towards the center. I'm just going to go ahead and pull a couple of these off here too. Guy's growing down into the ground. Just clean him up. Okay. So we're really starting to get an idea what this guy looks like. So it's interesting. You know, so it looks like off the main branch, there's this loop that comes up here. And again, this is why I love these junipers, because they kind of get all crazy on their own. So sometimes just cleaning them up, they look just so nice afterwards. So this guy comes up here and he circles back around. And he's got two big offshoots. He's got this guy here. So that scraggly guy we started to clean up earlier. And he's got this guy that curls right back straight over the top again. So the question is, do we want people to look at this? Let me get my hands out of the light here so you can really see. You know, so we got that really nice kind of curved look there. Do we want that to have a little tuft over top of it, and you have to really dig in there to see it? Or we could take that out and maybe have this guy over here. You know what? Again, there's no wrong answer here, but I think we're going to take this guy off, because this guy's coming over this direction here. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I have great news. If you get done this whole process, you have your bonsai sitting in front of you, you're looking at it, you go, you know what? I'm not sure about that. Water them, take care of them, wait a little while, you get another shot. And of course, there's always more out there looking to get a new home. So you just go pick one up and just keep on going. You can give it to a friend. Tell them you made a bonsai just for them. They don't have to know. Just cleaning this guy up a little more too. Okay. So that big tuft up top is kind of our centerpiece now. And yeah, you can see how we're starting to... So I'm going to clean out this in here a little bit more too. These guys that are kind of, they come out and they circle back in. I actually see a really good candidate right here. I'm going to take off this bigger limb here. He's not really going anywhere. He's got a good tuft on the end of him. Oh, big snip. He comes out. Oh, look at that. It was actually two of them. There's that one. Where's this other guy coming from? Oh, that guy's... look at that. He's growing down in the soil and then shooting back up out of it. Okay. Let's take him off too. Another big snip. Come on, big boy. There you go. Okay. So now you can see we're starting to look a little more like a tree. There's a tree under there the whole time. Here's another little dead offshoot. Looks like that never worked out before. Take him off. Now we're starting to get a lot more of a idea of what we were working with the whole time under here. Clean up that soil a little bit. Just take some of these old pieces out. See if I can get my fingers under there and really clean this out. Okay, there we go. So a little more dead bits over here. You can see some browning mixed in with the green over here. So here's a little brown offshoot. I'm just going to go ahead and take him off too. All right. So we're starting to see, oh, look how one-sided he is now that we have him all cleaned up. So he looked like a big mop in there. And it looks like all the growth is over on this side except for this piece. And again, I said, you know, they kind of grow a little crazy and they conform to their container, so nothing was coming over here. So this guy looped right back around. He went where the light was, where the space was. He started headed back to the other side. So that's one of the fun things about junipers. Now, a lot of people, when they do bonsais, especially of other species, they'll make these looks by guiding their growth over time, use some wire and direct them, and that's really fun too. But if you're just getting started or you just want one little showpiece, you know, cleaning up one of these guys is a great way to instantly make it look like you've been putting years into it, and just don't tell anyone. They never know. So right now, this guy here, he comes out and it looks like he was pruned a while back. He's really scraggly. You know, he's got these offshoots already coming out straight out. So I'm not really sure what I want to do with him yet. I'm going to leave him for now because I'm not sure. I'll flip around on this side. So we're still pretty busy over here. So let's take a look at this. So here's our loop back to the middle. This guy down here has a lot going on, and then we got a little tuft over on this side. So we got two different branches, but this guy is our loop. So I think what I'm going to do is I like that. Oh, this is a tough one. So many options. It's nice that he could provide so many options, though. So, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and make some decisions here. Let's go ahead and take this guy off. Just clean off that little piece. It's always best to cut instead of pull. Sometimes you'll see me pull the brown ones off because there's just nothing there. They're really already kind of detaching on their own. But the reason you want to cut typically is it makes it nice and clean. You're not going to rip. You're not going to pull your bark off. I'm going to cut this bigger one off too. Let's just go ahead. Let's do it. Let's just make a commitment. You know what? Let's go. We're all in. I'm going to trim this guy down too. Take off his like a real big piece over here. I'm going to take off. So. We got some little brown guys to clean up here. Just going to make this more branch unless he's trying to grow in every direction. Let's give him some direction in life. There we go. So I like these little tufts on the end too, again, where you can kind of see the tree. So here's our loop back guy again. You know what I think I'm going to do with this loop back guy? I want it to be very clear that he's coming all the way back and growing over here, because right now it's still kind of sitting on top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit to cutting off this big chunk right here. So look at that guy. Took that off. That's a pretty big piece. I'm going to clean these little ones off that were next to him. Okay. Take a couple more off the little bits here and there. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Look at that. Starts here at the base, comes all the way out, back over the top. That's fun. That's the fun thing about junipers. So, I'm really liking where this guy's getting to. Starting to look a little more like a tree for us. So from the soil, you can see it's this part right here is right along the soil line. I'm going to clear that side out, maybe see what we have root-wise over there that's being covered up by that soil. I don't think I'm ready to commit yet to trimming up this side anymore. What I'd like to do is we're going to go ahead and get him out of his pot. And we're going to start to fit him for his new home. We're going to have to do a lot of cleanup on the roots. So I like to use a tub for this because we're going to have a lot of soil come out of this. It's good soil. It's got all sorts of things in it that they've been using, from the moisture beads to these little round guys here. You'll have various things like nitrogen pellets and things like that for the health of the plant. So those are good, the soil's good, we're going to keep all that. So we're just going to give him a good squeeze, loosen him up from the sides. Give him a little squeeze from the bottom, see if we can. Now this is not a delicate process, and don't worry, it's a tree. They're actually not that delicate. You flip him upside down and just give it a good shake. You don't want to like just grab and pull him really, because that's going to be really stressful on the roots. But if it comes to it, let's really give him a good squeeze from the bottom. There we go. There we go. Now we're coming out. Oh, look at that. Look at those roots. So this guy's been in that pot a good long time. He's grown roots the whole way down to the pot. It's coming out the bottom, and look at it. Just roots galore. all those roots. Now, we've taken off about half his greenage. So in theory, we can take out about half his roots. And not a whole lot has changed in his world. But before we do anything down there, I want to start cleaning up here a little bit and see if he really needs to be that close to the soil line. You don't really want to expose too much of the top of the roots up here because if they dry out, that could be a little bit of a problem. But normally you got some wiggle room. Yeah, we got some wiggle room. And there's roots in every part of the soil. So to get him in that shallow pot, that pot, if I hold that up, again, like not even half his root base. But with so much less greenage, he's not going to need as much water. And we're going to keep him small anyways. So this is all trying to bigger and stronger and wants to grow into a full-size tree. But we're going to keep him a little guy. So I'm going to take off half the roots. Now, you might say, what are you going to do? Break up that root base and delicately snip all of them? Nope. We're going to cut him in half. So I'm going to pick them up towards the top. I'm going to get about halfway there. I'm going to just start sawing through those roots. Oh, maybe I won't. There we go. Oh, he's got some thick ones in there. And you may have to stop along the way and snip a couple of the bigger ones just because the saw can only do so much. Let's get some snips in there. There we go. Oh yeah, he's got some thick roots in there. There we go. Now look at that. See, it's starting to come apart. And there we go. I'm going to do a little more cutting on this side. Pull. A little more. Almost knocked my camera over there. There we go. And pull. Oh, look at that root. There's a big one in there. So there's a couple big guys that are really holding this whole thing together at this point. Just going to snip those big guys. And there we go. And just like that, I've removed his support system. It's okay though. We're here for him. We're going to keep him going. Okay. So you can give the root base a little squeeze here to loosen up some of that soil, get those roots out a little bit more. The ones that we didn't just massacre. And there we go. And look at that guy. Look at that guy. See? He's a whole tree. So interestingly, I'm going to flip him over here and see. And probably just above, there it is. Just above, I'm not sure if I can get light in there so you can see it. It looks like there's a big chunk of wood right here. That's actually where he was cut off his original tree. So you can see where he was a good-sized stem. They took him and they put him in the soil, and roots just started coming out left and right. He felt that water down there, and he started going. So they're very, very resilient. So you can really do a lot to these guys, and they're still going to thrive and grow for you. So let's go ahead and we're going to set his old roots aside. We're going to get our pot. Let's kind of just slide him in there for a little bit, just kind of get an idea what he's going to look like in his new home. So the first thing is that part that was growing down. That is definitely going to keep going down. So we've got some options here. So now we can start to think about what we want him to look like in his new home. So let's turn him. Let's think about it a little bit, right? Don't have to rush into anything. It's always good to stop and think. These days, everyone's just going a million miles an hour, trying to keep our head above water. And sometimes it's good to slow down and really think a little bit first. So I like that. Kind of comes down over the side a little bit here. Maybe still a little much. Let's look at him from this angle. That's certainly pretty. Let's try, let's see. What's his good side? See, I think he looks really good from there, and this side can come down. Let's do that. I think that's what I want to do. We'll let him come down a little bit. And then so that part that loops back, this part here that loops back. Turn around this way. So here it loops back. See, it's going to be open over here, so he's going to be reaching out over here where there's some more room to grow. So we're going to give him some more room. We're going to let this guy that was hanging keep going with his direction. Okay. So he's down below the line. I like to, again, this is not necessary, but I think it helps in the future. If you can get him down below the edge, so below the edge here, you see he's actually kind of right, well, actually from this angle, it looks like he's a little above. He's right on the edge, right? The nice thing about that is when you go to water him, instead of the water just rolling off the top and spilling out the sides, it's going to really get in there, go through the soil, get to those roots, and then any excess is going to drain out the bottom. So now all we really have to do is kind of fill in. So there's more soil. There's really good soil that's still in that root base that we cut off. So you got some options there. You can shake it out, just kind of pull it and break it apart. This is a really dirty process. You're not going to get your hands out of this nice and clean. So if you're someone who doesn't like soil under your nails, you're going to want gloves for the whole process, really. This will have chunks of his old roots in it still, too. Those will kind of just mulch and decay over time in the soil. Any nutrients in there that he lost when we cut those off, those are going to leach back into the soil. So it's really good soil. If you can just fill up the rest of that pot, it's really going to, if you fill up the rest of the pot with this soil, it's really going to make him happy because he's going to recapture a lot. I also have really good potting soil I use, so you can really use any soil. I would recommend something a little nicer. You don't want to just stick like a clay soil or something like that, like, you know, something from your yard that maybe just has tough grass in it is not the best idea because he doesn't have a lot of soil he's going to be working with. He's in a little pot here. You want to give him some nutrients and some decent soil to grow in. If you have any soil questions, talk to the folks in the garden center where you get them. They'll recommend some really good potting soils, and I suggest that's what you look for. Look for something called potting soil. There'll be all types of different soil. Potting soil is typically designed to go into a smaller pots, just like, you know, it's right there in the name, and it's designed to give good nutrients for growing in a situation where they're not going to be spreading out past a certain level. This soil's going in really nice right now. You can see it's going in there and just filling in those gaps. And I'm just dropping it in and then working it in with my hands. You don't want to like really pat it down super thick or anything like that. You don't want to press it down because what that'll do is it'll make the soil too dense and water won't be able to get in there to spread around and keep it moist and get to its roots. So we're just going to pat it down to kind of get the form and the shape. And then I got these little corners back here. So we're just going to fill in those corners as well. Nice. And one more. And he's going to get a little dirty in this process because we're going in over some of those limbs. A little green guy got in there. We don't need him. We just want that good soil. And there we go. So, boy, is he starting to look like a bonsai tree. So, I still think that this side needs cleaned up a little bit. I want to get a good shape in there. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's clean him up a little bit more. All right, let me just wipe my hands off here so I can really get in there and see him. Okay, so we're just going to clean up the workspace a little bit here. Move some of these scraps off to the side. We're going to take our soil and set him aside along with our saw. Okay, so let's take a look at this guy. We'll pull some of these roots off the top from that reused soil, get them out of the way. And a lot of people like to really have a nice little garden in their bonsai pot too, with some rocks and some maybe some little decorations and things like that too. I don't do that a whole lot. Sometimes you'll see some rocks in there. I like to add a couple rocks here and there. In this case, I think we're gonna maybe do that a little later. For right now, let's just get him really seated in there and looking good. So, okay. So this guy over here, still scraggly, still some brown spots. So I think at this point, I'm ready to make some commitments. So what I'm gonna do is this whole piece coming down here, you see some brown spots, it's kind of heading out there. I'm gonna take that whole guy off. Off he goes. I like this a little bit here and I like this a little bit here, and they're kind of blended together now. So let's see, how do I want to, Let's split these two guys up. I'm going to go through here and take off all these little pieces between the two. Oh, let me do that so you can see what we're doing. Yep, so there we go. Off they go. And we'll get them out of there. And, ooh, man, he's got a bunch of little guys coming off there. Maybe they're all coming off right there. Not sure if you can see that on the camera. I had a little beetle guy just come running out of there. He's been in there the whole time. What a wild ride. I'm doing it. I'm getting crazy. No wrong moves. Oh, look at that. Oh, I like that. That looked good. I'm going to take one more little piece off over here. There we go. There we go. Get that old root out of there. All right. Still pretty busy. Still pretty busy. Not sure. You know what? Okay, so he's pretty cleaned up. Got one more little branch in here. Let's take him off. So there we go. One cleaned up starter bonsai. You can see he's got a nice little bonsai look to him, especially compared to that scraggly bush we had at first. This part over here has plenty of room to keep growing downward, so we can put him up on a stand and this can kind of drape over. The little loop back guy here, here's the loop back. He's coming all the way over here. So the loop's on this side of the pot and the tip's almost over on that side of the pot. I really like that. I think that's really fun. I'm almost inclined, I'm thinking about maybe this big piece coming out. You know what? I'm gonna make one little change. This is a great thing about bonsais. You can walk up to them 3 days later and go, you know what? I'm gonna make a little change, a little snip. And then you can walk away for 6 months and say, okay, do some growing. We'll come back and we'll check in. So, that's a blue rug juniper cleaned up into bonsai form. Nice little pot. We're gonna take him out and we're gonna put him with his friends. Let him do a little growing, see what he looks like in a couple months here. Appreciate your time, and I really recommend if you've always wanted a bonsai and you've never had one, or you wanted to get into it, just go out to a store, rescue yourself a juniper, and give them a little trim up, give them a new home, and you won't be disappointed. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.